Hey everyone, so in this short video I'm just going to talk about choosing the ideal starting tempo or speed for fast piano progress. And on this channel I hope to share with you strategies, methods, insights, etc., often of my own creation that I hope will help you in your piano playing and hopefully many other areas of your life as well. And here I just have this general idea that there is an ideal starting speed or tempo in your piece to the extent of if you play a little bit faster than this speed, you're going to make more mistakes and be more error prone, and that's ultimately going to be a time cost because you have to attempt it more times, you're going to mess up more, you're going to record more mistakes, it takes more time to resolve them, so that'll be more of a time cost. But if you do it too slowly, it won't be that hard for you, but just literally the tempo will be so slow and that'll just take more time to complete. Like if I'm playing a passage like around this fast, for instance, it doesn't even matter like exactly what the notes are or anything, and I try to play it like at this speed, all my mess ups and stuff, it's going to cause me to waste too much time making mistakes, etc. And if I'm playing like this speed, that speed is just so slow that even if I do it perfectly, it's not really going to help me. It just literally takes too long for me to practice, even if I were to practice very, very well. So I'm not going to go into intricate strategy in this video, but I will say if you have not seen my 14 layers of strategy as applied to river flows and you, I think that's very worth it to watch. At a super high level, the idea is, let's say that you have a new piece of music, you're a total beginner, intermediate student, even an advanced student, and let's say that you start the piece and it's not a good idea for you to play 8 measures both hands, and play that 8 measures both hands from memory right off the bat. That's not the most efficient thing that you could be doing. It could be that doing 2 measures both hands is the most efficient thing for you to do. And if you look at spaced repetition, my rule of expansion, rule of transition, if you search David Chang 14 layers of strategy, I think you'll find lots of examples here where basically I talk about doing very small, simple things just from memory to quality, even just once, and then moving on from them rapidly, covering maybe even an entire page, and then coming back and then through spaced repetition now expanding them into like small things, then medium things, then large things, and things will start consolidating together through memory consolidation during sleep and spaced repetition. And if you're a beginner or a total beginner, a 2 measure both hand section might be way too difficult. A 1 measure both hand section, a half measure both hand section, that might be too difficult. Instead, you might want to start from half measure separate hand sections in the piece, right? So you tried like 8 measures both hands, it was a total failure. So now you're instead starting from half measure, even quarter measure separate hand sections. And then using my rule of expansion, if you search David Chang rule of expansion, you can do like quarter measure separate hand right hand sections and left hand sections through the entire page. And then the next time through, you will, again, each one is just correct probably once from memory. You just move on to the next one. You don't care about linking them together. The next time through, maybe you do half measure separate hand sections through the whole piece, and then 1 measure separate hand sections through the whole piece. And then you can use my rule of transition from separate hands to both hands. You can search David Chang rule of transition or look at the 14 layers of strategy. And now you can do half measure both hand sections through the whole piece or the whole page. And then 1 measure both hand sections through the whole page. And then 2 measure both hand sections, and then 4 measure both hand sections, and then 8s. And then at some point the piece will link together. And within this high level view, what speed is it that is best for you to solve or play to a high quality, even those quarter measure separate hand sets right from the beginning? Or maybe it's half measure separate hand sections you're starting right from the beginning. And I say roughly 5 to 7 minutes-ish is the upper limit of solving these sections that should be very easy for you. It doesn't matter, even if you're an advanced student, you will find something. Like if it takes you like 30 seconds, it's too easy. If it takes you like 25 minutes, that was too hard for you in the moment. It should be like fairly quick and simple. And you can use my logical notation if you search my name, logical notation, or you watch those 14 layers of strategy. And so here's where choosing the ideal tempo comes in. Let's say that you hypothesize that a half measure right hand section is the best thing for you to start with. Now you might not be right. It could be that a quarter measure separate hand section is the best, or some other answer. But let's assume that it's a pretty good answer. Half measure separate hand section is the best. So you're playing at this speed. I would recommend playing nice and all out. You can search David Chang all out if you want to hear my thoughts on that physically. But don't overcomplicate it if that seems too overwhelming. Try to play, time yourself until, like, how long does it take you to play half a measure, just right hand alone, and see how long that took. If it took like 5 to 7 minutes or a little bit less, that's probably a good sized section for you to solve. If it's taking like 10, 12, 15 minutes, try to play around with the speed a little bit. So first of all, you might be playing too fast. It could be that if you just play a little bit slower, like I said, you make less mistakes. You're not starting, like, repeating from the beginning over and over again. You're not messing up as much. You're able to get more solid and grounded a feeling under your fingers. And when you do the next half measure segment, or the half measure segment in the next measure after that, it could be that now instead of taking like 12, 15 minutes, it's taking more like 7 to 10 minutes. And so then you think, you know what, maybe I'll slow it down even more. I'll slow it down and play even more heavily, solidly, slower, grounded. That might put you in that sweet spot. So that means that you were playing too fast. So you experiment. You can time yourself using like a stopwatch or a count up timer or whatever you call it. And if your times so don't get stuck in one place. Like, do the first half of measure 1, the second half of measure 1, the first half of measure 2, second half of measure 2. Time each one and see how long they take you. If you're slowing down the speed that you're playing, and every time your time is improving, assuming that they're all roughly the same difficulty, yeah, it means you were originally playing too fast. Now, at some point, you will notice that the amount of time to complete each of the sections, it starts increasing again. And that is because you've already passed the sweet spot. Now it's like you've passed your perfect tempo, and now you're just doing slower and slower tempos that don't help you just because they're just too slow. It just takes too long for you literally to play the measure. And I would say you can do this totally without the metronome, because that's going to be easier for most people, and you just have a general sense or a general feeling of how fast you're playing. But as we know, that is approximate, and being human, it's going to vary from day to day. So then in the future, if and when you feel ready, you can use the metronome, and there is a way to, you choose an actual tempo or an actual speed with the metronome, and then using the process I just described, you figure out if you're playing too fast or too slow. You find your sweet spot, and then you write down that speed, and you don't deviate from that speed as your starting speed for now, if you suspect that's your optimal speed. And if you're not using the metronome, I would say it's helpful to still write in a journal or write in your sheet music, how does that tempo feel to you? And it's not going to be exact, but it still may be helpful to reference. What's your feeling of that tempo? Does it feel like running? Does it feel like walking? What subjective feelings does it give you? And that'll at least help. So yeah, hope this line of reasoning is helpful. Let me know if it is. Please let people know about the channel, like, subscribe if you did find it helpful, and looking forward to the next one.